The apex predator, December 12, 1943. Outside the village of Znamenka, Eastern Front. The winter air is so cold it feels like breathing crushed glass. Inside the cramped fighting compartment of Panzerkampfwagen 6 in Tiger No. 217, Hauptscharführer Kurt Knispel feels the familiar, bone-deep vibration as the 700-horsepower Maybach engine idles. The smell is a unique cocktail of hot metal, spent shell casings, and the sweat of 5 men who have lived in this steel beast for weeks. Through his commander's cupola, the world is a monochrome landscape of snow-dusted pines and frozen earth, a perfect killing ground. For 2 years, this has been his world. A world he dominates, a crackle in the headset. T-34s spotted, Sector 4, approaching the ridge. At least 10. Knispel feels no fear, only a cold professional focus. He relays the target information to his gunner, Unteroffizier Karl Rieger. The Tiger's massive turret, a slab-sided fortress of 100mm steel, begins its hydraulic traverse with a low, powerful whine. The sound alone is an instrument of terror. To the Soviet tankers now cresting the ridge, it is the sound of doom. Down below, Rieger's hands are steady on his controls. He peers through the Zeiss optics, the world-class German glass that can resolve a target miles away. For him, the distant Soviet tanks are not metal behemoths. They are merely shapes to be centered in his crosshairs. Target acquired. Rieger's voice is calm, almost serene. Fire, Knispel commands. The Tiger rocks violently as the 8.8-centimeter KWK 36 cannon, a gun adapted from the world's most feared anti-aircraft weapon, unleashes its fury. The high-velocity 22-pound shell screams across the frozen plain at nearly 3,000 feet per second. Less than 2 seconds later, the lead T-34 disappears in a flash of orange and black. Its turret, ripped from the hull, cartwheels through the air before slamming back to earth. 1 shot, 1 kill. This is the brutal calculus of the Tiger. The other Soviet tanks scatter, firing desperately as they advance. Their 76mm shells clang harmlessly off the Tiger's frontal armor, sparking like pebbles thrown against a castle wall. It is a futile gesture. Rieger is already on the next target. The loader, a young private named Klaus, rams another shell home with practiced efficiency. The breech clangs shut. Whoomp! The cannon fires. Another T-34 brews up, thick, oily smoke pouring from its hatches. Then a third. This is the reality for German heavy panzer crews in late 1943. They are the masters of the battlefield, untouchable knights in steel chariots. Their Panther tanks, with their elegantly sloped armor, can kill from a distance where they cannot be killed in return. Their Tigers are mobile fortresses, their 88mm guns the wrath of God. They fight with a palpable sense of technological and martial superiority. In their mess halls, they hear whispers of the new American tank, the M4 Sherman, now appearing in Italy. They see the intelligence reports, the boxy silhouette, the unimpressive 75mm gun, the thin vertical armor plates. They scoff. The Americans, they say, fight like they run their factories, quantity over quality. They build cheap disposable things. One German officer, after examining a captured Sherman, famously wrote that he was not impressed. To the hardened veterans of the Eastern Front, it was just another coffin for the Allied crews foolish enough to man them. They even had a nickname for it already, courtesy of the British in North Africa who noted its tendency to burn. The Tommy Cocker, the Tommy Cooker. Soon, they would give it their own name, the Ronson, after the popular American lighter that boasted it, lights first time, every time. For now, it was a joke, a footnote, an irrelevance. In their Tiger, surrounded by the burning hulks of their enemies, Knispel and his crew feel invincible. They are the apex predators of this war, and they cannot imagine a force on Earth that could possibly challenge them. The Steel Tide, July 18, 1944, a sunken lane near St. Lo, Normandy. The air is thick with the sweet, cloying smell of summer decay and the metallic tang of cordite. Inside his Panther Aus FG, Lieutenant Franz Staudegger peers through his periscope at the narrow dirt road ahead. His tank is perfectly concealed, nestled deep within the suffocating green walls of the Norman bocage. These ancient earthen ramparts, crowned with impenetrable hedgerows, have turned the French countryside into a maze of death. For an ambushing German panzer, it's a paradise. For the advancing Americans, it's a slaughterhouse. Staudegger and his veteran crew have been here for 6 weeks, and they have learned the brutal rhythms of this war. They are the patient spiders in a vast green web, A hiss of static from the radio, then a clipped report. Enemy armor advancing, column of 5. Grid reference Kilo 7, Staudegger acknowledges. He motions to his gunner, Feldwebel Schmidt. Wait for the lead tank to clear the bend, he says, his voice low. Let them come to us. Below him, Schmidt adjusts the traverse, the Panther's lethal. High velocity 7.5 centimeter, KWK 42 gun. A weapon capable of punching through a Sherman from over a mile away. Pivoting silently. Through the gunner's sight, the world is a circle of green. Waiting. The crew is calm, confident. They've seen these American tanks before. They find their tall, box-like profile almost comical, an amateurish design compared to the low, sloped predator they command. A minute passes, then another, then the sound. A chugging, rumbling sound, the clatter of steel treads on hard-packed earth. The first M4 Sherman noses around the bend. It moves cautiously, its turret traversing back and forth. Staudegger lets it come on, just another 50 meters. He can see the white star painted on its side, the jerry cans and packs strapped to its hull. It looks less like a weapon of war and more like a delivery truck. Now, Schmidt, he says. Fire. The Panther shudders. The report of the long 75 mm gun is a sharp, violent crack, entirely different from the Tiger's deep boom. The tungsten core shell crosses the 400-meter gap in an instant. It strikes the Sherman's frontal plate and punches through as if it were cardboard. For a half second, nothing happens. Then a jet of orange flame erupts from the commander's hatch, followed by a thick, greasy plume of black smoke. The ammunition is cooked off. The Ronson. It lights first time. There's no elation in the Panther's turret, only the grim satisfaction of a job well done. The loader is already ramming home another round. But then something unexpected happens. The 4 remaining Shermans don't panic or reverse. Instead, they react with shocking speed. One tank instantly fires a smoke shell that lands just in front of the Panther's position, obscuring Schmidt's view with a billowing white screen. Simultaneously, the squeal of treads fills the air as 2 of the Shermans lurch left, and 2 right, disappearing behind the dense hedgerows on either side of the lane. Staudegger feels a sudden knot tighten in his stomach. They aren't running. They are hunting. Driver, back up. Get us moving, he yells into the intercom. The Panther's engine roars, but its slow reverse speed and the turret's sluggish traverse feel agonizingly clumsy. Machine gun fire from the unseen Shermans begins to chatter against their hull. Then a 75mm shell impacts the gun mantlet. It doesn't penetrate, but the concussion is staggering, filling the compartment with a deafening clang and sending flakes of white paint flying from the interior walls. The Americans know exactly where they are. They are using their numbers not as a clumsy mob, but as a coordinated pack. They are willing to sacrifice one tank to fix his position, while the others swarm his flanks. In the bocage, a side shot is death. This isn't a duel of champions. It's a back alley brawl, and he's just realized he's outnumbered 4-1. The joke isn't funny anymore. A steel tide is washing over Normandy, and for the first time, Lieutenant Staudegger feels like he's in danger of drowning. The War of Machines, August 20th, 1944. A makeshift field workshop near Falaise, France. The war is no longer a series of calculated ambushes. It is a desperate, chaotic retreat. Lieutenant Staudegger's Panther isn't here because of enemy action. No shell has pierced its armor. No mine has broken its track. It sits silently, uselessly, defeated by a catastrophic failure of its own final drive transmission. The massive, interlocking gears that drive the tracks are shredded. For a German panzer, this is a wound as grievous as any armor-piercing round. Staudegger stands beside the crippled beast, watching 2 exhausted mechanics, their faces black with grease, struggle with the impossibly complex machinery. One of them, an old-timer named Hauptfeldwebel Kesselring, who fixed tanks in Poland in '39, shakes his head. The interleaved road wheels are a nightmare. Lieutenant, Kesselring grunts, wiping sweat from his brow. To replace this drive, we must break the track, remove 6 of these giant wheels. It will take a day, maybe 2. If we had the spare parts. Which we don't, this is the new reality. Germany's technological marvels. The Tigers, the Panthers, were masterpieces of engineering, but they were thoroughbreds. They were temperamental, over-engineered, and required constant, meticulous maintenance. Here in the dirt and chaos of a collapsing front, they are falling apart. Staudegger looks around the muddy field. It's a graveyard of titans. A Tiger with its engine block torn out. 2 other Panthers, victims of their own fragile transmissions. For every Panzer lost in combat, Another 2 are lost to mechanical breakdown. From his position on the ridge, Staudager can see a steady, unbroken line of dust rising from a road miles to the west. It's the Americans. Not their tanks, but their supply trucks. It's the Red Ball Express, a 24-hour conveyor belt of fuel, ammunition, food, and spare parts stretching all the way back to the beaches of Normandy. It is a river of war material flowing without end. The Americans, Kesselring had once spat, don't have mechanics. They have parts fitters. Their M4 Sherman, with its simple, rugged Wright Continental aircraft engine and its basic, reliable transmission, was designed for this. It was designed to be mass-produced, easily repaired, and ruthlessly expended. If a Sherman's engine failed, a maintenance crew could pull it out and replace the entire power pack in a few hours. If a transmission broke, a spare was waiting at the next supply depot. They were disposable, but they were always there. You kill one and 2 more take its place. You kill 5, and the next day a platoon of 20 rumbles over the horizon. The German crews are beginning to understand the terrifying truth. They aren't fighting an army. They are fighting a factory. They are waging a war against the full terrifying might of American industry, an enemy that can build tanks faster than Germany can make spare parts. The Panther's 75mm gun may be superior. Its armor may be thicker, but it is useless if it cannot move. The joke about the Ronson lighters has died on their lips, replaced by a cold, gnawing dread. They are trapped in the finest fighting machines in the world, and they are losing. A dispatch rider on a motorcycle skids to a halt nearby. He has new orders. The pocket is closing. All non-operational vehicles are to be destroyed and abandoned. Staudager looks at his magnificent Panther, then at the grease-stained faces of his crew. They are no longer tankers. They are infantry. Their greatest enemy wasn't the Sherman. It was the broken gear deep inside their own tank, and the endless river of American supplies they could see on the horizon. The hunter becomes the hunted. September 19, 1944. The fog-shrouded fields near Aricourt, France. Oberleutnant Sepp Brandner feels a surge of the old confidence. He is in command of a brand-new Panzerkampfwagen Tiger Ausf. B, the King Tiger. It is a 70-ton monster of sloped steel and firepower, the evolutionary pinnacle of German tank design. Its long-barreled 8.8 cm QK-43 gun can kill any Allied tank from 2 kilometers away. Its 150 millimeters of frontal armor, sloped at 50 degrees, is virtually immune to any weapon the Allies can field. After the humiliating retreat from France, this feels like a rebirth. This is the weapon that will turn the tide. This is the fist that will smash the Allied advance. Through the thick morning fog, shapes emerge. American M4 Shermans, part of the U.S. 4th Armored Division, advancing cautiously. Brandner smiles grimly. This is what the King Tiger was built for. Gunner, range 2000, he orders calmly. Target lead tank. Fire when ready. The massive cannon barks, and the shell is a whisper of death across the French countryside. The distant Sherman, a mere toy in the gunner's optics, vanishes in an explosion of fire and shrapnel. The American rounds that come in reply are pathetic, ricocheting off the King Tiger's glacis plate with a series of futile pings. Brandner's crew lets out a cheer. They destroy a second Sherman, then a third. The Americans are outranged, outgunned, outclassed. It feels like 1943 all over again. But the Americans are no longer playing that game. Above the fog, the drone of a light aircraft grows louder. A tiny Piper L4 Grasshopper, an artillery spotter plane, circles lazily. Brandner ignores it. It's a gnat. A mistake. Within minutes, the sky rips open. The terrifying whistle of incoming artillery precedes a barrage of 135mm high explosive shells that bracket the King Tiger's position. The earth heaves. The concussions are titanic blows from an invisible hammer, even without a direct hit. The commander's periscope shatters, spraying glass into the turret. An external radio antenna is sheared off. The crew is deafened, rattled. Their magnificent tank pinned down not by a worthy opponent but by an unseen enemy miles away. Then comes a new sound. A deeper, angrier drone that cuts through the noise of the artillery. Brandner knows that sound. Jabos. Fighter bombers. A flight of P-47 Thunderbolts dives out of the clouds, their radial engines screaming. They are not aiming for other planes. They are aiming for him. The air fills with the sound of tearing canvas as their 850 caliber machine guns strafe the King Tiger's thinner top armor. The crew huddles inside as the heavy slugs hammer against the steel above their heads. Then the rockets come. High-velocity aircraft rockets slam into the ground beside the tank, close enough to blow the massive steel track clean off its sprockets. The 70-ton behemoth lurches violently and grinds to a halt, crippled. The Hunter is now a stationary target. The genius of the American war machine is suddenly horrifyingly clear. The Sherman tank was never meant to be the champion of a joust. It was a piece on a chessboard. It was the bait. Its job was to find the predators, to fix them in place, and to call in the true killers, the artillery and the air power that Germany no longer had. Through the smoke, Brandner sees the remaining Shermans advancing. One of them is a newer model, its gun longer. It doesn't charge his impenetrable front. It moves methodically to his flank. He orders his gunner to traverse, but with the power out and the turret damaged, it moves at a glacial pace. The first 76mm shell from the Sherman slams into the King Tiger's thinner side armor. It penetrates. The second shot hits the engine compartment. Fire, acrid and oily, begins to fill the fighting compartment. Brandner screams the order to bail out. The myth is broken. The apex predator has been brought down not by a stronger beast but by a smarter, more relentless pack. As Brandner and his surviving crew scramble from the burning wreck, they see it. A column of dozens more Shermans, rolling past their dying King Tiger. An endless, unstoppable tide of steel pushing ever deeper into their homeland.